You have all the revenue, but you do not have the presence to match the revenue. Therefore, you're invisible in every environment. Women don't want you, so women don't revere you, and men don't fear you. And you have to know that. You are not a force of nature. You're not a freak of nature. Your presence is invisible. And if that doesn't bother you, then that's why you're depressed. Like, get over yourself, bro. We're all depressed. We all go through ups and downs. We all have the pendulum swing going on in our life. We all have come here for a specific mission to do. And when you're in that space of not feeling adequate because you're not being seen, yes, that may be fueled by a little bit of validation, but why do you need the validation? Because you don't have the presence, and you know that there's a misalignment in the way that you operate. Right? And this is not some woo-woo spiritual bullshit, because spirituality is very fucking mechanical. And the second you understand that your revenue doesn't match your presence, you will feel the disconnect. And that simply means that you need to do a better job. So revenue buys your freedom, presence buys you power. Most founders have one, almost none have both. What presence is actually. So presence equals how a room organizes itself around you, the felt identity behind your decisions, and the psychological gravity you create. Not charisma, not confidence, architecture. You have to sit and think about how you operate once you step into a room, and how that room operates around you, not how you operate around the room. You're more than likely in the space that you're operating around the room, not vice versa. Women look at you briefly. There's no desire in their eyes for you. There's no long gaze to show you that they're interested. There's no signaling to say that they want you to come over. It's simple to see that there's an object in the room. You don't even get the predator look to say, fuck, there's a guy that is big and forceful in the room. You don't even get that. You're invisible, but you probably have the biggest bank account, and that upsets you. Right? And your ego gets fucking deflated because you're not being seen. Men don't fear you because you haven't built a body that requires any sort of acknowledgement. You walk through the room and men will continue having conversation. Right? You haven't taken the time to really work on your image in the way that you present. So therefore, you also aren't attractive in that sense that you've worked on those things. Right? You're not groomed enough. And so when you have all of these things that are in a pool, right, but the bank account is there, there's a mismatch and there's a disconnect, which means that your presence does not connect with the amount of revenue that you have and that you know that you wield. So the power that you think you have, you do not have. And that's why you're probably having to buy women. You're probably having to bribe men. You're probably only keeping the people around you that are yes men. And the only reason they're yes men is because what? You're financially feeding them. So your only power comes from the money that you have, not from the actual presence that you wield. And that's not true power. You're almost pimping everybody out that's around you. And if you don't think that you are, I want you to really observe your surroundings. Because if you can almost resonate with what I'm saying about you being invisible in a room, and you have the kind of financial backing, but you don't have the presence, more than likely the people around you are leeching off of you. And that's a real thing. And while it may not be bad to leech, right? It may not be a bad thing to leech in your mindset. You want to really assess to make sure that you're getting value from the people around, whether it be psychological, whether it be value for tangible assets, whether it be business partners, X, Y, Z, and not just having random people say yes to everything you do because they're going to get a check, right? And that includes women. Stop going after women and buying women. Stop that shit today. So why revenue doesn't equal presence? Break the gap. Revenue equals competence. Presence equals identity. Money scales operations. Presence scales influence. The second you walk into a room, you smell good, you look good, women revere you, and men fear you. That is how you know you are a true asset to the environment that you're in. Because everything in your reality has to bend to you. When you step, the world feels it. When you make a decision, the world feels it. When you speak, silence. That's true power. That's what power is. You don't have to be the biggest, the tallest, but you have to have an identity that is so authentic to you and that you wield with ultimate power that everyone who is not of that same caliber must sit back and say, wow, who is that? Every room I speak into, every room I step into, that is the feeling, because it's just authentic. Just be you. But you don't even know how to do that, right? And you just hide behind the money or the business. But when you can build yourself up, when you can start to speak to yourself and be okay with being alone and really revere yourself as the only thing creating your reality, everything around you starts to change. Because now you're working with the laws of the realm to become the man that you said you're going to be. And when the lights turn off, when the cameras turn off, when the employees clock out, when the women stop coming over, when the men stop fearing you, and all of these things, it doesn't fucking matter, because guess what? I stayed true to myself. I did what I said I was going to do, and I continue to operate from that space with ultimate vigor. And even when my energy feels drained or my energy starts to drop, I assess the playing field. Where did I not follow through? Where was there mismatch in alignment? Where could I have done better? Because the only reason your realm doesn't add up to what you think you are or what you want it to be is because you have made a false decision, a wrong decision, a misstep. You've made a mistake, and you think that you can just cover your mistake like fucking paint on a wall with the money that you have. Not the case. That is not going to save you. And as a founder, we always feel, because we've taken the step outside of the societal norms, outside of the civilian behavior, we feel all high and mighty because we're actually watching our vision come into fruition. But that's not the case with your presence. You don't go to the gym. You don't read. You don't fortify your mind and your spirit and your body. Therefore, the world's not going to fucking recognize you. The banks will. The little whores will. The men that leech off of you will. But you cannot look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? You are who the fuck you say you are. You're gorgeous. You're beautiful. You can walk in any room and people feel it, right? The presence that you bring is coming from an authentic place. You can't do that and sleep good at night because it's a fucking lie. Look at yourself, right? Would you acknowledge you if you were somebody else? More than likely, not the case. You would not. And there's no need to lie to yourself at all. There's no need to lie to yourself because more than likely you're just performing. Stop performing and actually sit still for 2 seconds. Because a man with revenue but no presence overworks, over-explains, over-postures, right? And hides behind accomplishments. You always got to talk about the things that you've done because you can't sit down in truth and just sit still and listen to the room while affecting it at the same time. You don't know how to do that. A man with presence doesn't need to announce. People orient around him. Rooms adjust when he walks in. Heads turn, men approach, women stare. It happens non-stop when you actually take your life and your reality into your own hands and you want the presence that everything around you has to acknowledge. It's a real thing. So your identity gap shows up in many places, right? You have to use these and kind of relate to where you're sitting. So let's take it step by step. So walking into a room and no one knows you're the force behind the brand, buying the watch because the architecture isn't enough, building companies faster than you can build yourself, and when your life looks big but your embodiment still feels small, that's how you know you have a gap. If any one of those scenarios listed off makes you feel like, fuck, that's me, then you need to fucking work on your identity. You need to work on that gap because that gap will slowly destroy you. There was a time where I had to literally look at myself in the mirror and say, fuck, who are you becoming and who do you want to be? Right? And is it authentic to you or are you performing for the fuckers outside? Are you doing it for the women? Are you doing it for the money? Are you doing it for the opportunities? Are you doing it for anything else beyond yourself and your soul acknowledgement? If the answer is no, you're in a good place. But if the answer is yes, you have to really look at yourself and say, fuck, why do I need that? Is it validation I'm looking for? Am I getting over trauma? And yes, I've been there. I've been in those places where I'm like, fuck, performing would be much easier. Not being that force and just using the money to get what that force actually brings could be easier. But what's more authentic? What gives me the feeling of power? What is true power in my sense, in my world, right? People respond to real power. People don't necessarily respond to performers. They may respond to get the money, but that's not power. They're just leeches, right? That's not power. They don't fear you, right? But if you have to buy people, then who are you? You're lonely and sad inside because you can't sit still. Because if you ever understood that, if you didn't buy people, that you would be alone and you were okay with that, you would be in a better position. But you're not. right? You're still wielding your money like it's ultimate power when it's not. Presence is ultimate power, and that comes from authentically understanding who you want to be and who you are, and not making things based upon external validation, but on the internal understanding of the architecture that you have within an identity that you are looking to wield. So really take the time to sit down and look at yourself and analyze, because it's something that you have to do, right? And so the result is when the revenue and presence merge, you stop chasing opportunities and you start bending reality. If you're scaling revenue, but your presence hasn't caught up, it's time to rebuild the architecture behind the man. The link is in the description below. Consider yourself warned.